Today we will be discussing the knowledge argument, also known as the Mary Thought experiment, by Allison Borrego,
Tristan Turner,
and Elizabeth Bujansky.
What is the Mary Thought experiment? It is a philosophical thought experiment proposed by Frank Jackson in his article Epiphenomenal Qualia, 1982. The experiment is intended to argue that against physicalism, the view that the entire universe, including all that is mental, is entirely physical, or as contemporary philosophers often say, everything supervenes on the physical. Physicalism implies that everything is made up of matter and therefore takes up space. Mary's Room attempts to refute the theory that all knowledge is physical knowledge, essentially saying that there are non-physical properties and obtainable knowledge that can be discovered only through conscious experience. The Mary Thought experiment explained. As explained in Epiphenomenal Qualia, Mary is a brilliant scientist who is, for whatever reason, forced into investigate the world from a black and white room via a black and white television monitor. She specializes in neurophysiology of vision and acquires, let us suppose, all of the physical information there is to obtain about what goes on when we see a ripe tomato or the sky, and uses terms like red, blue, and so on. She discovers, for example, which wavelength combinations from the sky stimulates the retina, and exactly how this produces via the central nervous system, the contraction of vocal cords and expulsion of air from the lungs that results in the uttering of the sentence, "The sky is blue." What will happen when Mary is released from her black and white room or is given a color television monitor? Will she learn anything or not?
In simpler terms, imagine a girl named Mary. She is a brilliant neuroscientist and a world expert on color vision, but because she grew up entirely in a black and white room, she has never actually seen color. Many black and white books and TV programs have taught her all there is to know about color vision. Mary knows facts like the structure of our eyes and the exact wavelengths of light that stimulate our retinas when we look at a light blue sky. One day, Mary escapes her monochrome room, and as she walks through the gray city streets, she sees a red apple for the first time. What changes upon Mary's encounter with the red apple? Has Mary learned anything new about the color red upon seeing the color for the first time? Since Mary already knew everything about the physics and biology of color perception, she must surely have known all there is to know about the color red beforehand. Or is it possible that some facts escape physical explanations?
What is qualia and how does it relate to the Mary Thought experiment? Qualia can be described as individual instances of subjective, conscious experiences. If Mary gains something after she leaves the room, acquiring knowledge of a particular thing she did not possess before then, that knowledge, Jackson argues, is knowledge of the qualia of seeing red. Therefore, it must be considered that qualia are real properties, since there is a difference between a person who has access to a particular qual and one who does not. Explanatory completeness of philosophy and qualia are equal to epiphenomenalism.
Here are a few objections to the Mary Thought experiment. Objection 1. Confining Mary to a monochromatic room would not prevent her from having any color experiences, or she would not be able to see color after her release. Response 1. The thought experiment doesn't need to be compatible with visual science. If the case that a person with monochromatic vision who ends up having normal vision really does involve serious difficulties for materialism, then the fact that our eyes exclude the actual existence of such does not seem to provide a convincing reply for the materialist. Objection 2. A person who is confined to a monochromatic environment but knows everything physical there is to know about visual color experience would be able to figure out what colored things look like, and thus would be able to imagine the kind of color experience produced in a normal sense when looking at the cloudless sky during the day. Response. The opponent would have to show that complete physical knowledge necessarily involves the capacity to imagine blue. Someone can doubt that this claim is compatible with the assumption that physical knowledge can be acquired independently of one's particular perceptual apparatus. Here are